shopping campaigns, all that you need to know. We're excited to review this topic and give you some best practices, make sure to review that you are aware of what's new with Google shopping campaigns and how best to prepare to launch that new campaign type. We have two really great speakers with us today, one from Google and one from Kenshoo. From Google's side, we have Nicole Primo, who is part of the partner education team at Google and is going to be reviewing some of the best practices on what's new with the shopping campaigns and just kind of the 101 on what you should be aware of. And then she's going to turn it over to Irina Vukatic, who is on the product management team at Kenshoo. And she'll be able to dive deeper into some of the Kenshoo solutions and best practices that are around how to launch on Google shopping campaigns and prepare for those new campaign management. So my name is Emily Helander, and I'm on the product marketing team at Kenshoo. So if you have any questions during the webinar, feel free to chat them or put them in the question box in your GoToMeeting sidebar, and then I'll make sure that we can review those at the end. But with that, I'm going to hand it over to Nicole so she can start walking us through.
All right, thanks so much, and thanks so much for having us. Again, my name is Nicole, and I am the Partner Education Manager for Google Shopping here at Google. So we're excited to be here today and to talk to you guys about kind of our rationale for making the switch to shopping campaigns and what you guys need to know to really take advantage and start investing in that upgrade process. So the three topics I will cover, and again, feel free to ask questions at any point that we'll get to at the end. We're going to be talking about what's going on currently, so kind of that rationale for the upgrade, where we're seeing improvements, and what your opportunity is. And then we'll give you some getting started best practices. So first and foremost, as a baseline, you guys probably already know that product listing ads are really good at connecting retailers to the shoppers that are interested in their products. So simply by giving us a data feed of all of your key product information with details like price, obviously image, URL, title, all of those good things, by giving us that information, we're able then to kind of understand what searchers are looking for and which of your products match to these search queries. So this is the current PLA experience, and this is the part that's not changing with shopping campaigns, is that core matching algorithm to of your products to shoppers. So we know that retailers are finding success within this model. Like we talked about, that algorithmic learning is really good at understanding search queries and matching them to products. Where we do know that people and retailers and their partners are looking for more is in the operational side of things, as well as in getting more insight into how to actually improve their return on ad spend and improve their campaign performance. So when we started to think about how we could provide these type of improvements, we interviewed retailers and their strategic digital management agencies of all shapes and sizes, and we found what now in hindsight seems like kind of a no-brainer, which is that retailers organize, plan, and price their inventory in order to manage their business. So what this means in a physical store is probably the easiest illustration. When you have a sale rack, you put a big sale sign above it to drive people to that inventory you're trying to get rid of. When you have something that's trending, you put it in your front window to draw people into your store and to capture their attention. So with shopping campaigns, we want to give you the same kind of ease and intuition that you have in terms of planning your inventory with your online product listing ad campaigns. So let's talk about how we're doing this and kind of what the opportunities of this shift are for you guys. So there are three key benefits to shopping campaigns. At a high level, it is that retail-centric campaign management philosophy that I just kind of outlined. We're also talking about advanced reporting, as well as competitive landscape data that helps you understand your marketplace as well as your position in it. So let's talk about each of these in a little bit more detail. So starting with this retail-centric campaign management philosophy, Ultimately, our goal is to help you streamline how you manage and bid on your products in a way that's more intuitive and in line with what you're doing throughout the rest of your business. So this starts at a foundation with being able to browse your data feed directly in AdWords. So previously, or for some of you currently, you know that you have to manually map the values in your data feed to how you want to target those products with bids in your campaigns. By integrating those two actions into this browsable data feed, you're more able to respond to what's actually in your inventory and select the products you want to bid on more granularly, whether they're groups of products by product type or whether that's an individual best-selling SKU. And ultimately, with this type of capability, you can easily ensure that all your products are covered within your campaign, whereas previously that took some manual mapping. And so we'll talk a little bit more in a few slides about what we're talking about with this inventory coverage, but for now, suffice to say that it starts with your data feed. It then goes into bidding for product segments, and ultimately that results in easy, full coverage, bidding and managing where it matters. So in terms of advanced reporting, for me this is a huge improvement. Regardless of how you set up your campaign, on the Dimensions tab now, you're able to analyze and export your performance metrics at all sorts of key attribute levels. So essentially you're given this pivot table where you can sort your performance by key attributes like brand or product type and even individual ID. So again, no matter how you organize that campaign, you can slice and dice your inventory analytics to see what's moving the needle and where you should be investing more of your time in actually managing for those high impact pieces of your inventory. Last but certainly not least, with regard to competitive landscape data, we know that you guys want to optimize thinking about your own marketplace and your particular competitors. So with some new metrics, you can actually track against your competitors and understand the potential opportunity in your particular marketplace for particular products. So the first two I'll talk about are Benchmark Max CPC and Benchmark Click-Through Rate. So with Benchmark Max CPC, you're able to see that, for instance, if you're bidding way higher than the average, maybe you need to do more on the data quality side to bring your cost per click down. And with Benchmark CTR, if your CTR tends to be lower than the average, maybe you need to reconsider your prices because maybe you're on the high end or maybe your images need another look. Another key one here is impression share. So essentially this is the same as it is for text ads as well as other ad formats, where impression share gives you a sense of, out of the total number of times your ad was eligible to show, what percentage did it show. And what this gives you insight into is if there's more opportunity to potentially increase your bid or potentially uncap your budget so you're showing when people are looking for you. Last in this category is the bid simulator. So this one might not be quite as relevant given the context of this webinar, but essentially it gives you an opportunity to map how adjusting your bid up or down might impact your clicks, your impressions, and your cost. So again, you can read the summary here, but I would say think about this as a strategic opportunity. I know that there's some manual kind of operational transitioning that you'll need to do between now and August when the auto upgrade happens, but I encourage you to think of the upgrade as an opportunity to reconsider your strategy and use some of these new tools and insights you have that long term will allow you to better manage and better optimize your product listing ads. So as I just alluded to, in late August, all product listing ad campaigns that are still running will be upgraded to a shopping campaign. So we've seen a lot of success from people who have already upgraded, and we hope that you'll be excited to upgrade your own campaigns. And we encourage you to do so in advance of the auto upgrade so that you can ensure your campaigns are tailored specifically to your business goals, and so that you can ensure you're well set up going into the very important Q4 holiday season. So now, just as kind of a quick intro into Irina's section, I'm going to quickly walk you through some getting started key features. So in terms of upgrading your shopping campaign, the good news is there are 3 pretty basic and pretty easy steps to take. First, and of course, you'll actually create this new shopping campaign. Next, you'll pause your regular PLA campaign to avoid duplication. And last but not least, you'll customize your shopping campaign so that it's meeting your specific business goals. So let's walk through the steps for those of you who will be using the AdWords front end. The first step, of course, like I mentioned, is to click the New Campaign button and to choose the Shopping Campaign subtype. So I'd like to emphasize here that notice now we have a specific subtype for product listing ads. And what this means, and hopefully you understand, is that Google is investing in retailer-focused solutions, and by having our own shopping subtype, we're able to give you features and functionality specific to the retail world. Next, you'll actually pause that regular product listing ad campaign. This again is simply to avoid duplication across the two. And then you'll start subdividing your inventory. So essentially, when you subdivide your inventory, this is your option to break out groups of products that deserve different bids. Very simple example, but a very effective one for illustrating this point. You want to probably bid differently for your $10 pair of flip-flops than your $300 pair of dress shoes, and product groups allow you to do this. So, for those of you who, again, who will be using the AdWords front end, I'm going to walk you through an example of how to subdivide your products. So first and foremost, when you create your shopping campaign, you'll notice you start by default with an all products group rather. Think of this as a pie. 100% of the inventory in your data feed has one bid, so you're bidding on that entire pie with one piece. What you likely want to do is slice and dice this pie into littler pieces that you bid differently on. So to do this, you'll click that plus button and you'll see this expanded window where you see the actual values from your data feed. Next, what you'll need to do is choose which attribute you want to start subdividing your inventory by, and you have 6 primary options: category or Google product category in your feed, brand, which is pretty intuitive, as well as item ID, condition for those of you who have large refurbished or used inventory, product type, which is your own categorization for your products, and then 1 of 5 custom labels. After you've chosen which attribute to subdivide by, in this case category, you'll see the values in your feed for that attribute. So for example, here I can start to break out my apparel and accessories and electronics, and I encourage you to think mostly about what will move the needle if you manage it more actively. So you probably have hundreds, if not thousands, of different categories. Maybe there are only a handful that actually deserve your active management, and then you only choose those, leaving the rest on that left-hand side. So this is now what my campaign would look like. You'll notice I've split out my apparel and accessories as well as my electronics, and now my all products group has actually transitioned into an everything else in all products. Think of this as the catch-all. It's automatically created for you as soon as you subdivide, and it basically acknowledges you're not going to split out every single category, so here are the rest that you did not split out. So apparel and accessories is obviously a huge category. You may want to subdivide further, so you can do this up to a total of 7 times or an additional 6 from this point, again, starting with that plus button. So here's what my here's what my campaign might look like at another level of subdivision. Again, you can go significantly deeper, but just to illustrate the point. And one key functionality here as well is you'll notice that I've actually chosen to exclude my costumes and accessories. So it's not exactly prime time, it's not Halloween, so not too many people thinking about costumes and accessories currently. So I may choose simply to exclude, which means I'm not bidding on those particular items in my feed. I'd encourage you to use exclusions sparingly, simply because even with a low bid, if there are costume parties going on or if people are looking for costumes outside of that peak point in the year, you do want to show when people are searching for them. So perhaps instead of excluding, you'd throw a low bid on here, but for the sake of illustration, excluding is definitely an option. One additional point here is that if you know that you want to break out every single value within the category attribute, for instance, you can do that in bulk simply by clicking that plus button at the top of the unit, as you see in green here. Again, this prevents you from having to click over each individual item simply by allowing you to add that in bulk. Okay. So as one last section before I turn it over to Irina, just want to talk quickly through kind of how you should be thinking about your data feed before making any shopping campaign upgrade changes. So you can see the 6 potential targetable attributes here. I'm not going to talk about all of these, but if you have questions, of course, feel free to chat them in for our Q&A section. But the important point here is that these are the ones you want to review prior to creating your shopping campaign because they're so important to your being able to bid effectively and structure your campaign. One that I will talk about in a little bit more detail is what we're calling custom labels. So for those of you familiar with AdWords labels or AdWords grouping, custom labels are similar but provide a more structured way of tagging certain products based on your key performance indicators like seasonality, promotions, stock levels, margins, etc. So if you are using AdWords labels or AdWords grouping, you will need to upgrade to the custom label strategy. And we recommend that anybody interested in using custom labels starts by mapping out and defining how they'll use each of their 5 labels. So for instance, in a table like this or something similar, simply define kind of generally what that label will be used for, and then potentially map out some possible custom label values. The important thing to note here is that one product can only have up to 5 labels, 1 label in each of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So before the end of August, you again will need to upgrade your campaigns. So you can see a rough timeline here, which is as soon as possible, start updating your data feed. From there, once you've re-uploaded it, so those changes take place, start creating and building out your shopping campaign. Of course, before late August, finish upgrading your shopping campaign so that when the auto upgrade comes, number 1, you're already upgraded, so no impact. But number 2, when those holidays get here, you're well optimized, you're well on your way to being very successful in understanding how to fully utilize your shopping campaign. So with that, I will turn it over to Irina.
Hi everybody, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Great. So thanks, Nicole. So as Nicole was saying, we in Kenshoo are also excited about this change of shopping campaigns. Even though it doesn't change the ad format, it still will be the product listing that's showing up. It still significantly changes the ease of management of this high valuable ad format for retail advertisers. As leaders in the retailers and specifically product listing space, we're very excited about it, and you can see that we have been trafficking consistently around 9 to 10% of product listing ads throughout the last almost 2 years that product listing ad format has been paid. You heard from Nicole that by the end of August, it will be required that all PLAs traffic through the new Google Shopping campaigns in the U.S. as well as in the other markets where the product listing ads are available today. So now, 2.5 months before the due date, it's the time to plan and for your migration and execute on it. So what should you be thinking about when you're creating your shopping campaign structure and preparing for your migration, preparing your strategy? There are a couple considerations for campaigns division of all your products. One is the budgets. Sorry. So budgets are still defined on campaign level. So if you have different budgets for different types of inventory, be it brands, subcategories, you would want to set them in different campaigns. Another consideration is the geo and language targeting. So you are setting the targeting on campaign level. Also, you can have multiple feeds in your Merchant Center account, each targeting a different language and currency. But that means that in the AdWords account, you will need to have campaigns targeting the correct language and location to that feed. Additional things to remember when creating a campaign is ease of viewing the campaigns together. So if you have multiple campaigns, that will be the view that you will see in both ad groups and Kenshoo, as well as priorities. Priorities of campaigns allowing you to tell Google at certain points of time which campaigns to prefer to others. So if you have a product that is available in 2 different campaigns, but in one you said high priority and in another low, the product will show from the product group in the campaign that has the high priority. If you have more questions about priorities or decisions on campaign division, please write them in the question tab and we'll address them later. Another consideration is your ad groups. So if you have a campaign, how do you decide if you want one ad group or multiples and what should be taken into account? One of the considerations is your negatives. So for example, if you're selling vitamins A, B, and C from brand 1, but then you don't sell vitamin A for brand 2, you might want to negate this vitamin A keyword variations from an ad group for brand 2. So, but for brand 1, for example, you won't need to do that. In Kenshoo, we have the suggestion, the negative suggest report, similar to text ads, same for product ads. You can have a suggestion of negatives for your ad groups that can be very helpful in negating some of the terms that are not driving the quality traffic that you're looking for. Another consideration is the mobile bid adjustment. So this is something that is set on ad group level, and if there is a subset of product for which you want to be more aggressive on mobile versus others, consider separating these product groups into a different ad group. Now that we have campaigns and ad groups, the next subdivision will be the product groups. When you're deciding how to split the product group, the ad group comes into the product groups, think about 2 things. One is competitive metrics. So Nicole was showing you some of the competitive landscape information such as benchmark marks, CPC and CTR, as well as the impression share. And these are available on product group level and only provided when there is more than one product in the product group and sufficient data for that product group. Also think about margin considerations. You may want to be bidding differently on different sets of your product groups. Based on margin considerations, and the bid is set on product group level. Okay, so now that we have our structure of campaigns, ad groups, and product groups, how can you manage these shopping campaigns in Kenshoo? So we talk about management in Kenshoo for greater efficiency, optimization for improving your ROI, and then also talk about reporting and insights for holistic view of all your paid search activity. And not only. So diving into management. First of all, what you will be able to see in Kenshoo is a view of all your biddable product groups. These are all the paths, and these are screenshots that were prepared with some dummy data and some overlay of structured data. What you can see here is the bids for each of the product groups. So you see that unlike the tree view, here you only see the actual product groups on which you can set the bid. In this view, you also can define which columns you want to see, for example, impression share or other competitive landscape data, how many records you want to see per page, and also export from here to Excel. Now, you may look at this and see what the path is to the specific biddable product group, but you can also hover over it and see the path highlighted here for you. So you see that it's divided by brand and then by product type in this specific example. Now, you may have hundreds and even thousands of biddable product groups, or product groups you set the bid on. To allow for efficient management, we provide you with the ability with filtering for the product groups that are of interest. So you can filter by all the filtering criteria of product groups, performance information, as well as the structure criteria, such as campaign and ad group name, for example. So this is an example where we want to filter by product groups that contain specific brand and specific type. You will see all the product groups that contain that text in their path. Now that we filtered a couple of product groups and we want to choose a subdivision and make maybe some big changes on it. So this is an example where in addition to, of course, making inline bid changes when you can just click on this field and make the change inline, you can also select multiple product groups and make bulk bid changes. When you do the bulk bid change from here, you will actually see the options that you have of increasing the bid by percentage, decreasing it by percentage, setting it to a specific number, as well as, of course, setting it to excluded. So if you decided that you want to exclude, let's say, 5 product groups because they're out of stock, or you're waiting to create a promotion for them maybe, you will be able to do this through here in bulk. You will also be able to preview your bid changes. This is just an example of how it will look like. So it will tell you what are the bid changes that are expected, what is the new, what is the change, and whether it was successful or not. And then you can choose to apply. So these are some of the very easy ways to navigate in your biddable entities, in your biddable product groups, make bulk changes on them if you choose to change bids manually. If you are, however, interested in automatic optimization, we, similarly to the current product listing ads, we are providing with shopping campaign specific bid policy. And this is an example of the setup screen for it. Basically, this is a bid policy that's specific for shopping campaigns. It optimizes product groups, sets the bids on the product group level, and basically optimizes towards your target ROI. In the next steps for optimization in the future, you will be able to also do portfolio optimization for product groups. So everything we have been talking about till now is things you'll be able to do in Kenshoo by the end of this month, by the end of June. Portfolio optimization is something that we are working towards August and beyond, and it will start with product group portfolio optimization, and then the goal is for situations where you have one budget or one goal for your text ads as well as product ads, you will be able to put all these campaigns together in the new Kenshoo portfolio optimization. Now moving a little bit to reporting and insights. So in addition to exporting from the grid, you will also be able to see the product reports. Here is just a sample. Been providing product level reporting in Kenshoo for PLAs pretty much since the beginning for the last year and a half. And we're excited to see that this is something that has been helpful for advertisers, and we'll continue to provide it. Of course, you can bring all the product information in that report. There's also the product groups report, where not only you see the product groups that you can set the bid on, but also the ones in the past. So here's an example where this line of all sweaters brand A, you will also see in the grid because you can actually set the bid on that. But that means that higher in the tree, there is a layer of all sweaters that you can't set the bid on because you split it by brand, but we still want to show you performance of all your sweaters in this example, or all your category. Here are more questions about reports. Happy to cover these too. Not only you can see all your activity here, so these reports are specific to product listing ads, but in all the text ads reports, so Fusion ads, content keywords and PLA reports, all the other reports are also supporting the product ads as well as the text ads. So you can see all your paid search activity in one place. You can run the path to conversion report and see where your product ads contributed to your text ads or vice versa. Beyond seeing the paid search information, you can also use the product listing ads information to create ads in Facebook. So this is what we call demand-driven campaigns, and this is this will create your product ads in Facebook. So it will look at the merchant feed, it will look at the performance of the different products from your PLA activity, and it will choose them to create the ads in Facebook. So this is really high level about what you can do in Kenshoo within product listing ads, connecting your product and text ads together for a holistic view of paid search activity, and also using it to inform and optimize your social activity. So what's now? What are the next steps? Start building your shopping campaigns. So first of all, develop your strategy. This is the time to have conversations with your account management teams here in Kenshoo to develop the right strategy. How many campaigns, how many ad groups, how do you want to break out the product groups? Do you want to put them in the same profile with your text campaigns or different ones? These are the conversations that our account teams here are eager to have with you. Once you have your strategy, do review your feed with consumer in mind. Back to what Nicole was saying, we want to make sure that the language you are using, descriptions for your products, are in the language that the consumers will be looking for. And then create your shopping campaign structure and optimize your product listing ads campaigns. We do believe and encourage you to refine structure continuously, and here's where, coming in August, we will have more bulk creation tools to help you continuously refine and go more granular as needed with your product groups, as well as ad groups and campaign structure. However, we encourage you not to wait for August, just because of the proximity to the deadline from Google. And if you need any help with planning or executing your strategy now, please do reach out to your Google and Kenshoo account teams. And now I'll pass it over to Q&A. Emily?
Thanks, Irina. Thanks, Nicole. We've got a few questions that have come in. Nicole, I think this first one might be good for you to answer. Will we be provided with average position data for the shopping ads?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's certainly something that we've heard feedback on before in terms of you want to know within the ad slate which slot are you in? Are you in the furthest left, middle, furthest right, whatever it is. So it's certainly something that our team is looking at, how to surface the right information to you, because I know with text ads, the difference between position 1 and position 11 on the page is a phenomenal difference in click-through rate. And actually with the single ad unit, with everything being so much closer together, we're also seeing that factors like image, title, and price also correspond and correlate to click-through rate differences as much, if not more, than the actual position, far right, far left. So kind of the short answer is it's something that we're working on figuring out how to provide you the right information with, kind of so that you can action and take steps to improve your average position based on how you're performing in the ad unit. So the short answer is great feedback, something we've heard before, and certainly something we're thinking about on our end.
Cool. Another one, Nicole, I think might be good for you. We got a few questions around transitioning, so if there's a need to run the shopping campaign simultaneously with the old PLA campaigns for a period of time to avoid any drop or change in quality score, and then just any thoughts around migrating slowly or all at once.
Definitely. So I think that one point I would just clarify before I jump into how to run regular and new shopping campaign at the same time is that there is no impact to be had on your quality. Unlike text ads and other ad formats where your quality is associated with the actual campaign structure, with product listing ads, both old and new formats, there's no quality tied to the actual campaign. It's all tied to your actual data feed, so you don't have to worry about losing historical good performance or historical quality or anything like that. But that said, I do think that there's also merit to migrating over time. For instance, if you want to kind of test your new categories or just kind of ramp up on the learning curve without all your eggs in that new basket quite yet. So if you do want to do that, you start out the same way, which is updating your data feed and creating your campaign. That said, as soon as you create your new shopping campaign, there's 2 steps you'll want to take. So first step is to change your campaign setting priority to high in your shopping campaign. The second step is to exclude the everything else in all products target or group. And what you're doing by doing these 2 steps is you're telling Google to prefer the bids in the new campaign over the bids in the regular PLA campaign, but you're also making sure that anything you have not specifically subdivided for in the new campaign remains in the shop or the regular PLA campaign. So again, just to reiterate, 2 steps are set the campaign priority to high and make sure you exclude the everything else in all products group.
Great, thanks. Irina, can you speak a little bit about when customers or clients of Kenshoo should start preparing for launching within Kenshoo and like the timing they should be thinking about?
Yeah, absolutely. So some of the functionality or some of the support is already available, and we have started a closed beta where we are rolling it out and opening it up slowly and gradually to make sure that we are testing the solution and providing you the best solution come end of June. End of June is really the timeline, end of June, beginning of July is really the timeline that Kenshoo advertisers should be looking at. That said, the time to work on the strategy and deciding which, what is the right segmentations of the product groups, what is the right structure of campaigns, ad groups, etc., that time is now. Because it takes some time to figure out the right strategy and then start creating these campaigns in AdWords. And you can create them and have them as posts and further refine them as time goes, and then bring them into Kenshoo end of June, beginning of July, based on your timeline. We do not recommend, as I mentioned, waiting completely till August, just because of the proximity to the timeline. However, you might want to create some basic structure right now, or as Nicole was referring to, some of the campaigns, creating them right now. And then the ones that go more granular, the ones that have, product level product groups, or couple of layers down in product groups, you may want to consider holding up on some of these ones until the bulk tools are available from either Google or Kenshoo. It really is a unique strategy for each advertiser, so we highly recommend working out the strategy with your account team here at Kenshoo and figuring out what is the right timeline. But generally, starting now until August is the timeline.
Thanks. Another question just specific to Kenshoo support. So around where the product groups tab is going to be visible, if it's only within the analysis grid, and then within that, if you'd be able to see different time periods for product groups.
Yes, so the product groups as well as the product tab later on will be available on the analysis grid. And as far as timelines, there are no currently limitations on the timelines for which you can see performance of product groups. That said, you probably don't have product groups performance for a year ago or so because these are just launching. But if you had shopping campaigns, let's say for the last 3 months, and you want to bring them into Kenshoo and see product group performance, you should be able to.
Nicole, can you speak to if there's an ability to downbid on Google search ads and then, kind of around the priority maybe for Google product listing ads to give them higher priority over search text ads?
Yeah, so if I understand the question correctly, I think we're talking about text ads versus product listing ads. And I'll just say to that note, you can certainly show both, right? So within a single, search result page, you can have a product listing ad and a text ad at the same time. So in terms of how you can prioritize one over the other, I would say you'll just do that in terms of bids because they are separate auctions in the sense that what shows for your product listing ads is not necessarily influenced by which ad creative or which text ad campaign you show. So I would say just the way to do that is not so much with campaign priority, which only works within one account on multiple product listing ad campaigns to tell Google which bid to use across the campaigns, but rather just make sure you're integrating your whole strategy so that when you bid on your text ads, you're taking into consideration how you're bidding on your product listing ads and vice versa.
Great. Nicole, can you also talk a little bit about the difference between Google products category versus the product type within the feed?
Yeah, definitely. So Google product category requires you to use values from Google's standardized taxonomy, which you can download from the Merchant Center Help Center. So these are important to your overall data quality because you're telling Google in a language that our engineers have developed and built into the algorithm exactly which category your product falls into. That said, it's probably not as specific to your particular taxonomy as something like product type would be. And product type is essentially whatever taxonomy or categorization system you want to use for your products. So that might include things like color or size or maybe just a different type of kind of drilling down into subcategories. So in terms of what this means for your campaign, I would say that whenever possible, use your own product type to subdivide because it's going to be more specific to your inventory and it's going to give you those levers to bid differently on your flip-flops versus your dress shoes versus, let's say, your petite sizes versus your large sizes or whatever it is, however you built your categorization.
Cool, thanks. Another question for you, Nicole. So with the transition to shopping campaigns, will clients lose CTR history through that transition, or would it affect their quality score?
Great question. So in terms of campaign history, when you pause that campaign, the regular PLA campaign, it's still in your account. So if you want to compare year over years or month over month or whatever it is, you still will have access to that data in your AdWords account. And again, just to reiterate on the quality point, how you set up your campaign has absolutely nothing to do with your data quality or with the quality that we take into account in the auction. All of your quality for product listing ads is stored, kind of think about it, with your data feed, so with the actual products themselves, not with the particular ads or with the particular ad groups like that is for text ads. So kind of in short, don't worry about the quality piece because it's not relevant, but if you're interested in seeing historical performance, that's still stored in your campaign, in your AdWords account.
Great, thanks. Let's see. Irina, can you talk a little bit about, or just review the bid policies that are going to be available at the end of June versus what's coming for PLAs?
Yeah, absolutely. So at the end of June, and this is really the policy similar to the one we have today for PLAs, it's going to be the policy that will optimize your product groups towards an ROI target. It will also provide a mobile bid adjustment. So if you do have that on your ad groups, similar to the bid to ROI policy on text ad, if you're familiar with that, it will optimize the bid as well as the mobile bid adjustment. This is our active cluster policy or keyword-based policy or product group-based policy. But also in going further in August, we are looking to introduce portfolio policy for first portfolio for product groups, and then a portfolio optimization that will be able to take product groups and keywords and look at them holistically and optimize the whole activity if you choose to do so. Again, the considerations for choosing bid policy are often the campaign and the goal, as well as any restrictions. So these are still the considerations. We do require 7 days of data to start with this bid to ROI for product groups or for shopping campaigns bid policy. So if you have your campaigns running and bringing them in, that shouldn't be a problem. If you're starting over, again, depending on how much volume you have, but from our testing so far, it should be around 7 days. If you have higher volume campaigns, it can be less, of course. Another thing that's probably worth mentioning here around around policies is how granular to go with your subdivision of product groups and whether to go to product-level product groups. And we definitely, from our optimization perspective, our algorithms are best positioned to optimize when product group has individual products. This is where it has the most flexibility to decide what is the right bid per each product. That said, often you may have multiple products that are pretty much the same, maybe different in color or maybe different in some other attribute that is not significant, but similar otherwise in terms of price, their margin, bestseller, etc. So still, it's your decision how granular you want to go with the product groups, and the policy will be able to optimize the product groups on each level, whether you just subdivide by category and have hundreds of products within that product group, or you go all the way to the product level and have one product ID in the product group.
Great. Irina, can you also comment on whether or not advanced search will continue to function on shopping campaigns?
So we're really looking to use the ability in the analysis to provide all this functionality that you are able to do today in advanced search. So like you saw in some of the screenshots, the ability to filter, select multiple, and then apply an action on them, all this ability is coming into the analysis. And we believe that that will answer most of the actions you will want to do on the listing ad campaigns or the shopping campaigns specifically, and you'll be able to do them in the analysis. That said, as we are rolling this out, we would love to hear feedback from our advertisers if there's additional ability or additional actions that you would like to see specifically in advanced search or in the analysis grid as well.
Great, thanks. Nicole, there's another structure question here, kind of what Irina was just talking about with how to exclude and if you should do a product versus one product for a product group. But this is more at the campaign level. So if you have, deciding if you should have one campaign or multiple campaigns for an account, can you comment on just best practices there? I think we may have lost Nicole for a second.
Oh, sorry, you know what? I'm actually sorry for that technical difficulty. I missed the question, but I'm back.
It was a structure question, so around campaign best practices. If how you should decide if you should have one campaign or multiple campaigns for a given account.
Yeah, great question. So the basic answer is that the only reason to have multiple campaigns is if there are different budgets that you want to allocate to different subsets of products. So for instance, if you have like bestsellers that have higher cost or have lower cost per acquisition rather, you might want to dedicate a more uncapped budget to those particular products. So you could put them in their own campaign, only target those products, exclude everything else so that they're getting more of your daily budget. So that's kind of the core answer. On top of that, with campaign priorities, you do have more advanced opportunities to tier your campaigns. So what you might do is have a low priority campaign that targets 100% of your inventory with a more capped budget. That would be what you optimize kind of for the long term, but then you might have a kind of a special season campaign or a flash sale campaign where you don't do as much optimization work on it, but you run it for 2 or 3 weeks at a time, targeting just the inventory that's really important in that moment, put it on a high priority, and then again bid up on those specific products. So what it all boils down to essentially is that you'd only have multiple campaigns for one country and one language if there are budgetary reasons to do so. That said, if you have multiple languages, multiple countries that you're targeting, you'll need a different campaign for each one of those. So France versus the US versus Germany, for instance. But other than that kind of special case, it's mostly budgetary reasons.
Great. Thanks, Nicole. Just another question, Nicole, for you. When will AdWords editors support shopping campaigns?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So I think that, like Irina has said, you need to start upgrading your campaigns as soon as possible. I don't know that we have an exact date for editor, but the point kind of really is that you shouldn't wait and rely on bulk editing tools. You should start creating your campaigns in the AdWords front end or via the API so that when that upgrade happens, you'll have your campaigns built out to your custom specifications.
Great. And then one last one for you, Irina. Is there any other steps that a client would need to take if they're going to launch on shopping campaigns beyond automatic downloading the campaigns into Kenshoo?
Sorry, you were breaking up a little bit. You're asking if there are any additional steps advertisers will need to take in order to download their shopping campaigns into Kenshoo?
Yeah, beyond downloading them into Kenshoo, is there anything else they need to do to transition?
Got it. Yeah, so actually, no, once you're ready, you can download your shopping campaigns after the June release. So I guess two-step answer. If you're interested in bringing your shopping campaigns on Kenshoo right now, work with your account team. They will enable this ability for you, working with the product team, and we'll be able to bring your campaigns into Kenshoo. If you're waiting for the full support coming in the end of June and the end of this month, so really in just 2 weeks, then you will be able to just download your campaigns in Kenshoo, and they will be there, and you'll be able to manage them directly from the UI.
Great. Well, I think that's it from the question standpoint, but I want to say thank you to our presenters and all of you for joining. If there are any other follow-up questions, please feel free to reach out to your account teams, and they'll help get those questions answered for you. But appreciate the time, and we'll be posting a recording of this so that you can go back and refer to it. But have a great day.